Happy Friday. Love saying that. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast. Jamie Lynch, Renee Washington. We got Tyler Zulli with us. Renee, you are the official tabulator of who was actually first here in the chat because
yes,
I don't have it open in front of me. Who we got? Who won?
Congratulations to Chris Lemmer, number one in the chat.
Chris back up at his rifle spot.
Yes, and then Ray and Neil also were one of the earliest ones in the chat. And then Jay, Christy, Dave P, Kevin, you're all trickling in. Yes, happy Friday. Jamie, I'm a little disappointed in you because you had a grand opportunity to open the show the right way and you didn't.
This is March.
Woo! Happy first day of March, everyone.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's like, it's turning March is officially closing the book on winter to me. Now, March weather typically sucks up here. Like, it's kind of like you get some tease days, but then there's a lot of rain, a lot of gray, and but, you know, we got March Madness coming up. I know you've been doing some work in the college hoop season. You know, you got Masters not that far away. We're going to Clearwater. Spring is behind or ahead, and winter is behind. It's a good time of the year. I really like the spring a lot. So happy March to everyone. How rude of me not to start the day like that.
I really thought you were going to do it when you said happy first or happy Friday. I was
all
ready for
happy
first Friday. Happy first day. Happy March.
Yes. And welcome in, Jay. Good morning. And Kay Yinkst and Aaron Stewart and Dave Dewar. Happy Friday to all you guys. A lot to get into today.
Jamie, you're a boomer. That's not Stewart. That's straightforward.
Straightforward. All right, I'm trying to read quick.
You're such a boomer.
What did I say?
Stewart.
I mean, I just kind of like skipped the... come on, man. I'm not speaking in numbers and letters.
I mean, also, I will say we have on our monitor, it's harder to see things, so let's go with that, too.
Mopar is going to be in Clearwater Beach in 5 days. Yao Ming joined the chat this morning.
Oh, that's it.
We got celebrities.
Wow.
We have made it, guys. Yao Ming has joined the chat.
That's it. Let's just end the show now.
So a lot to get into today. We got a split squad. We got the good and the bad from yesterday. John Foley is going to be joining us. We are going to go over the top 5 managers in baseball. And does Rob Thomson make any of our lists? I don't know. Lots to get into, including I know John Foley wants to talk about Cristian Pache. I do too.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it would be a massive mistake if they don't keep this kid. He's shown you enough promise over, just about a year of having him in the organization. He's still only 25 years old. Former top prospect, which I can't quit, of the Braves. The Braves were calling him the next Andrew Jones at one point before he couldn't hit with them, and they moved him to Oakland. The Oakland A's, for some reason, I don't know why, just gave up on the kid and sent him here. Cristian Pache with a home run yesterday. He leads the team with 2, Renee. Plays a great glove. He's young. He's athletic. He's improving at the plate. You can't move on from Pache. You got to keep him you got to find a way to keep him. I really believe that.
Yeah. And I just want to first give a thank you to Dave because it'd be rude of me to start things off without acknowledging the compliment. My thank you. And as you were talking about Cristian Pache, I actually tweeted out yesterday about wait a minute, Cristian Pache is one of the ones that has consistently of the bubble group that we can consider him a part of. Those guys either not only fighting for a roster spot, but fighting for more playing time, more opportunity on the field. Cristian Pache is one that we've talked about that has, you know what he gives you, and it's now a matter of in 2024, can he take that next step? And so far, 2 home runs, and for him to be consistently one of the bright spots on this team. I know you guys are talking in the chat about, Johan Rojas and Dave, shout out to the Yoro nickname. It's time for Pache it's time for a nickname. I'm gonna give him a nickname. It is. No. Can I be irrational and give him a nickname? Oh wow, Tyler gave me the thumbs down.
He's got to make the team first.
He doesn't make the team. And if he doesn't make the team, I'm concerned because I think it happened. It's only week 1 of spring training games. But listen, he's right now on pace for deserving a nickname. I'm going to start casually brainstorming some. And then as he continues this consistency, because as you all know, I'm very big on, it doesn't need to be a one and done. Let's see this over time, weeks, months. But he's getting closer, guys. He's getting closer to nickname status. That's all I got to say. And I'm loving the fact that Pache has been slamming balls out of the ballpark and just being able to give us great at-bats. I love to see it.
Yeah, so he was one of the stars from yesterday. A lot of the lower name, Connor Brogdons and Junior Martes of the world all performed really well. Shut the Blue Jays out. Bunch of chumps. 5-0. Bunch of losers. So the World Series plans are back on.
I was going to say, this is bingo.
After a couple blown 9th innings and a couple ties,
3 straight games.
World Series parade plans back on.
3 straight games of blowing the game in the 9th, and we were all like, this team's not, whatever, we're getting irrational, but it's time to get irrational again, because as we are 27 days away from opening day versus the Braves, the Phillies have shut out the Blue Jays, and it feels like they're on track, guys. They're on track.
So the split squad today, some guys, including Ranger Suarez, who's starting the day. That was a weird. Is heading to the Tigers, which isn't that far away. And then Aaron Nola is staying home versus the Marlins, the old split squad. And as Rich Hoffman said in his morning newsletter, I'm always curious how that is split. Because obviously you'd want to stay home, right? So, of course, Aaron Nola gets the nod over Ranger Suarez.
Of course.
But some of the other guys that go on the road, it's like, how does Rob Thomson just pick out of a hat? How do you split up the split squad?
All right, young fella, get on the bus. The vets get to stay home.
Think,
no,
right?
That's basically what it is. And I know as we saw the lineups come out today, the Clearwater lineup is the veterans for the most part. The starting group is a lot of the bigger name, the veteran guys that are locked in. The Lakeland group is not. So it's,
Hit the road,
now
youngster.
Bryson Stott is involved in that too. So you don't want to read too much into it, because as we talked about yesterday, one thing that we've noticed that Rob is doing a good job of is allowing for a mixture in each lineup. It's not, all the expected starters and then the next time all the expected, bubble guys. It's mixing in and sprinkling in, the Weston Wilsons, the Matt Kroons, the Nick Podkols with a Trey, Bryson, Kyle. So doing a nice job sprinkling and spreading things out. But it is interesting. I don't know how you decided, but it looks like it was, like Tyler said, youngsters over here and Bryson Stott, you go lead them. You guys go play Ranger, Bryson, and then old heads over there.
Yeah.
Basically.
So I want to get real quick about irrationally quick about a 12-year-old Dominican kid. The Phillies got an Acuña. The Phillies signed an Acuña. Most likely the long history of getting the wrong brother in Philadelphia will live on through the Acuña family as the Phillies come to a verbal agreement with a 12-year-old, Renee. You excited? The younger brother of Luis Angel or Luis Angel.
Luis Angel.
Angel.
Wow, words today.
It's all one word. So like Luis and Angel are two. To me, that's two names. You combine. And Ronald, we signed him. We got a 12-year-old.
Listen, as much
in
as
2028, he can actually sign with the Phillies in the international signing period.
As much as we don't like the Braves, and it's annoying that Ronald Acuña Jr. is so good with the Braves.
We
talked about wanting Acuña. We'd love to have Acuña in Philly. We just need to be. I've learned this, guys. We've got to be better at being specific with what we're manifesting, because we did, even when we were going through our top 5, we're like, oh man, we'd love to have Acuña with the Phillies, and we have Acuña with the Phillies.
Yeah.
Just 12-year-old Acuña. But the Acuña brothers and the whole family.
You know me, sucker for bloodlines.
I was going to say, the bloodline runs thick, because Luis Angel with the Mets in their pipeline program. Now you've got Kenny coming along. I don't see any reason why not. Let's get irrational. This is
Kenny.
12-year-old Kenny.
I'm going to apologize to Kenny now. I have Really no choice in this matter but to get completely irrational about your possibilities here in a Phillies uniform. So, sorry, you have a lot of pressure on your shoulders at 12 years old, but he looks like quite a specimen. Quite a large
12.
Quite a large 12-year-old.
I don't read into being a 12-year-old boy because you're
when I first saw the video, I was like, oh, this kid's like 16, 17.
Yeah.
And then I read more, and I was like, wait, he's 12? Damn.
Luis Angel, I haven't seen his picture in a while, but he also is a bigger kid too. Like there's something there in the Acuña family where they definitely grow a little quicker than they look. But at 12, and what I like the most, because I know we've talked about this even on the Union show with like Kevin Sullivan, the younger brother of Quinn Sullivan, when you have a talented older sibling and you're the youngster and you're just learning from them and you're picking up all their tendencies and, you get a chance to learn from each of them. Honestly, it really does there's a lot of pressure there, don't get me wrong, because you are constantly in the spotlight of a Ronald. But on the other side, you are a sponge taking all that in. Can you imagine your 12-year-old self learning from, forget who else you learned from growing up. Imagine you're learning from Ronald and he's giving you pointers and he's showing you, so for that reason alone, it's exciting because it's like, okay, let's see how this kid develops. He is only 12. There's a huge age gap there, which gives him also time and separation. It's not like he's
excited
a year
for
younger.
a 12-year-old I've ever been as a Phillies fan.
Watch it there.
I mean, we got an Acuña. What's not to be excited about?
Yeah, Dave's saying all this talk about a 12-year-old is kind of creepy. It is. Watch how you guys are talking about this 12-year-old. We're talking about baseball here. We're not talking about other things. But it is exciting because I think there's a big enough gap. Had he been like a year or two younger, I feel like sometimes those types of siblings really struggle. But there's such a big enough gap. He can be his own person.
It's so weird. And it's verbally agreeing with a 12-year-old.
But that's where we are in 2024.
Yes, sir. I would
that's
like
where we
to play
are
for the Phillies one day. Yes, sir. I like the Phillies.
Yes,
I like
Natalie, Dave, Mickey, just hit that thumbs up button while you're here as well. Thanks for the compliment, Natalie. Ray, seeing some other people in the chat. Randy, happy Friday, everybody. We're talking about a 12-year-old talent that has already verbally committed. And we've been seeing this in college commitments. Why not see it in professional commitments?
Yeah, I mean,
you see a lot of like 6th graders and 7th graders are now committing to college.
I was just having some fun with it, but like the good news here is the Phillies were historically behind on all international signings. Like they were one of the last major league clubs to get a Dominican academy. They were one of the last ones to, basically tap into the Latin American market. They've been slow in the Japanese market. And I think this is credit to Dave Dombrowski and Mattingly and Sam Fold and everybody. The Dominican thing started like a decade ago now at this point, but they were behind the times then. Our Discord channel this morning was talking about Sasaki next year, the 23-year-old Japanese pitcher that's going to be available, and a lot of people say he's better than Yamamoto. The signing or the offer, they made to Yamamoto should really, lend a pretty nice olive branch over to the Japanese market. So like internationally, the Phillies are actually starting to get some clarity and starting to figure this stuff out. And we joke about a 12-year-old kid because who the hell knows? But great family. These are the types of things that they, kind of should be doing. So kudos to them for branching out internationally and making this stuff happen.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a change. It's a sign of a change at the times, being a little bit more aggressive. Absolutely. So, hey, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, in 2031, we'll circle back and see if this kid...
let's remember this moment and the first day of March in 2024.
He'll be pretty much 18.
Yep.
So by the time... if he's on Ronald's path, Ronald was up at what,
2028, he'll be 18, Jamie.
Huh?
Did you say he's going to be 18 in 2028?
17. Right? Or I don't know his exact age. He's approximately 12 or 13.
Well, that's true. We don't know.
So the international signing, you can start when you're technically 17 and you're supposed to be around 18. So maybe he's
that math
13.
is not mathing. But yeah, okay, let's say he's 13 max.
So let's say he's 17 in 2028. Maybe by 2031, he could be locking down an outfield spot for the Phillies.
Where will we be in 2031?
Yeah.
We'll be right here still talking about Kenny, guys.
Yeah.
Right here in the same spot.
But great bloodline.
Remember when?
Yeah. Does anybody here care about who actually starts the home opener?
No. I mean, there's an answer as to who it should be if you want the best pitcher.
Well, because Aaron Nola was asked about it.
Okay.
And I don't care. I think Aaron Nola is going to get the ball again.
He probably will. He's the longest tenured Philly.
And he disagrees with that.
Well, he's right. He should not get the ball, but he probably will. Like, do I care though? No. I mean, they're both going to pitch.
Yeah.
But they're going
games
to.
1 and
Rob
2.
Thompson's going to give it to Aaron Nola.
Probably.
Yeah.
So Aaron Nola was asked about it yesterday. He was on foul territory, and Zach Wheeler got bouquets thrown at him from Aaron Nola. Here's what Aaron Nola had to say about Zach Wheeler. To me, he's the best pitcher in the major leagues. I mean, he shows it every single year. The way he can command a baseball with his pitches and pitch at that high velocity, I really don't see it much around the league. A guy who takes the ball every single time and never wants to come out of the game, it's pretty awesome to be on the same team as him. He basically said Zach Wheeler should start opening day. And really just said, I hope they lock him up. I hope that they agree to this extension with him. And I hope they get it done. And he was just talking about how much he loved being a teammate and a competitor with Zach Wheeler. So it was really cool to see yesterday.
Yeah, and I like that because it's very selfless of him to mention that. It's not like he's saying, there's some of these conversations and questions can easily lead a player down the wrong path depending on how they respond to it. And I think that's the correct response. As we know, there's so many games, and there's no question about, Nola and Wheeler and where they stand on the team. So I don't know that I agree with you guys. I don't think it matters at all. I know in the chat you guys flip a coin.
It's pomp and circumstance like stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You love them both. They're both going to get plenty of opportunities. And hey, it'll be a very long season. So we won't even remember who started opening day. So I'm whoever it is, if it's Nola, if it's Wheeler, I'll just be happy in 27 days when we finally have, we are officially into the start of the season because it is baseball month, guys. It's happening.
It is
this month.
And our own John Foley is going to be joining us in a little bit. Went viral yesterday with one of his tweets. I saw Barstool picked it up and it was in Phillies Reddit. And make sure you're following along with John. He's going to be joining us in about 13 minutes or so. But he had this in his tweet yesterday. Just got to say, pretty good for the Phillies World Series odds, Renee. John tweeted out, leap years have been very good to the Phillies. 2008, leap year. 1980, leap year. 2024, leap year. So get your Phillies bets in to win the World Series now. Plus 1,500. Those are pretty nice odds when it's clear the Phillies are going to win the World Series this year, thanks to the leap year.
Leap year equals championships, basically, is what that means. I didn't realize that. I know I saw John tweeting about it, and then as I was thinking it over, I was like, wow, that. I was doing the math. I'm like, that is correct. Those are all leap years. And so I know we've talked about that extra day and, making the most of the additional 24. Well, the Phillies in the past leap years made the most of that extra 24 and had a leap year championship. So if the World Series title, if anything else to sway me that this is the year to win it all, that was it, clearly, because it's a leap year.
Somebody in the chat was asking who Zach Wheeler's agent is. His name is Al Goetz from Jet Sports Management. So it's not a Scott Boras. On the leap year front, I watched an interesting video last night. We have Julius Caesar to thank for the leap year installation into the calendars. Now, it went on to say that July 4th, over the course of 500 years, is how long it would take for July 4th to happen in the dead of winter if we didn't recognize leap year. Isn't that weird? So you'd basically move back a little bit every year. So it would take 500 years for July 4th to be celebrated in the dead of winter if it wasn't thanks to Julius Caesar and the leap year.
I love this because
Isn't that weird to think about? July 4th in the middle of winter?
It's so cool, actually. I'm nerding out because I love this type of stuff. And the whole reason behind leap year is because you don't get a full rotation each year.
Because technically a full year is what, 365 days, point 2?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so that leap year is to reset it. So that actually makes complete sense. If it wasn't getting reset every 4 years, we'd have winter in July. I know we have Christmas in July, but it'd be winter in July.
I was in Australia one year for Christmas, and we were on the beach playing cricket that morning. It was pretty weird.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I think, certain holidays need to be in the cold, and certain
July
months
4th in
definitely
the
need to
winter would be weird as hell.
like setting off fireworks in your jackets and blankies.
Yeah. So
That'd be weird.
thank you, Julius Caesar,
I know,
for allowing us to
wow.
have July 4th in the summer.
Julius loved his calendars. I think that stuff is so cool because it's fascinating how they were able to figure that out even back then. And have something that would change the world. And you know what else is changing the world? And the world's first functional soda with a classic soda taste and the benefits of plant-based fiber, prebiotics, and other botanical ingredients to support gut health. It is our new sponsor, Olipop. Olipop.
My wife is
You
hooked.
can check out this new kind of soda. It has got only 2 to 5 grams of sugar, 9 grams of fiber per can. It is a new kind of soda because it's for a couple of reasons. The health factors and benefits. It's available online and available in almost 30,000 retailers worldwide. Most recently, they've launched in Wawa. So those of us that have a Wawa nearby, like myself, you can also purchase Olipop in your local Wawa. They did make that debut recently. And they've got 2 flavors that are debuting in Wawa specifically. Their classic root beer and their strawberry vanilla. We were fortunate to have those 2 popular flavors and many others here right in our office to check out ourselves. And listen, when it comes to Olipop and their ingredients, their health benefits, and also just the people behind it, it's absolutely worth checking out. So for Olipop, so excited to have them on board with us and for you guys to be able to check them out. You can actually take advantage of our code PHLY20 to be able to get 20% off of your next Olipop order. That discount code does only apply to one-time orders, not to subscription orders, but Olipop is sold online at drinkolipop.com. It's on Amazon. It's available in, as I said, 30,000 different stores worldwide. Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, Wawa, ShopRite, GoPuff, where you can check out Olipop. So again, use that code PHLY20, get 20% off your next Olipop order, and start working towards better gut health, prebiotics, all the delicious ingredients that they have, plant-based fiber, to drink a delicious Olipop soda. It's about to be spring and summertime, guys. Don't we love the cracking of a nice can of soda, sitting outside, relaxing in the sun? So check out Olipop today, and thank you again to our newest sponsors on board with us here at PHLY, Olipop.
Yeah, right there in the express cases at Wawa, which is awesome because I find myself in a Wawa a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So looking forward to seeing them in Wawas all over the place. Look, I got a proud dad moment for me today. I got a great parent-teacher conference about my eldest. And you know what I said to myself? I'm going to have some lunch beers today because I feel great. I feel great. This is a Friday. I'm proud of my daughter. And I started thinking about cold Miller Lights, Renee. There's some right over there in the fridge. Everybody knows them. It's Miller Lite. It's the beer drinker's light beer. It's a great thing to have with friends and family. If they come over, tell them to grab a Miller Lite out of the fridge. Anywhere beer is sold, one of the beauties of Miller Lite is that you can pretty much find it wherever beer is sold. Whether you're on a flight, landing in a state far away, Miller Lite is everywhere. Why? Because it's the beer drinker's light beer. And as we close the book on winter and get ready for beach season, it's 96 calories and minimal grams of sugar. It's less filling, only 96 calories, a light beer that tastes like beer. It's just that great. You know, anytime friends and family are over, I just say, hey, head down to the beer fridge, help yourself to a Miller Lite. Hopefully getting out on the golf course this weekend, I'm going to stash a couple Miller Lights in the bag because it's just a great tasting, light, refreshing beer. Miller Lite keeps it simple. It's undebatable quality, great taste, and only 96 calories. It's the beer that strips away from everything that you don't need and holds on to what matters most. Less filling, only 96 calories. The original light beer since 1975. Times change, but you can always enjoy on the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, who doesn't love that? Visit MillerLite.com/PHLYFills, or you can find it pretty much everywhere beer is sold. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounces. I can taste that beer already. So it's Friday, you know, right? Everybody thinks about a little bit of a wine or cocktails or beer on Friday, I think, because you know, the work week is hard. It's nice to finally be here on a Friday. John Foley will be joining us from Clearwater shortly to talk about the split squad and, you know, the week that was. John saw all the games this weekend. Not this weekend, this week. We actually were fortunate enough yesterday to have the MLB TV feed of the Toronto game here in the studios. That was nice. But let me get on my old man.
No. I was wondering where you're going with this, Jamie.
Let me get on my old man soapbox and yell at the clouds. Because, look, sometimes my venting is irrational. Sometimes it's, I think, profound and prophetic and insanely rational. All right, Tyler, you're going to have to bear with me here.
Oh, no. Where are we going with this?
Paul
You
Skens.
just called yourself like a prophet, basically.
Yeah, basically.
That's serial killer stuff.
Yes. Paul Skens.
Skeens.
Paul Skeens, the number 1 pitching prospect in baseball, the big stud. A lot of people call him Livy Dunn's boyfriend. Number 1 pitching prospect in baseball. Yesterday, faces off against the number 1 positional prospect in baseball, Jackson Holiday. And to boot, Corbin Burns just happened to be on the mound as well. So you have the number 1 pitching prospect facing the number 1 hitting fielding prospect. You would think that game is broadcast on TV, right, Renee?
I know, Jamie,
this is something that would build the fan bases of the Pirates and the Orioles next generation and get them excited about the kids, the top prospects.
I know,
You would
Jamie.
think it'd be streamed. It would be broadcast. It would be everywhere.
Jamie.
Was it, Renee?
No, it was not, Jamie.
It wasn't even streamed. 2 of the most exciting prospects in baseball, and all you could do was listen on the radio.
I know, Jamie.
That is some bullshit.
They're there.
Thank you. Come on.
I know.
What are you doing, Major League Baseball? Look, I've given you a lot of credit recently. I think this futures game is a great idea. I think the rule changes were, for the most part, a great idea. You're kind of marketing better. You're allowing social media videos and all that stuff you didn't used to do. You've come a long way. But when you have a matchup like that, spring training or not, put it on something.
I know.
Okay.
Renee, you sound like a mom right now.
I know.
It's okay.
She just wants to listen.
Everything's
like
I'm just
all
listening.
when my
They're
wife
there,
comes home,
they're
or she
there.
comes home sometimes, and she just wants to vent and get
Let
it
it
off her
all
chest.
out. Let it
I just
all
walk
out.
over and pour a glass of wine.
I'm in my mind pouring
Renee's
you a
doing
nice
that
Miller
to me
Lite.
right now.
Yeah,
She's going,
yeah.
just get it off your chest, Jamie.
The
Are you
issue
done
that it
yet?
always comes down to is it is completely nonsense. I know in the chat you guys are also getting fired up with
It's
Jamie.
stupid.
And okay, we're back. The thing is,
Chris
it
Slemmer,
comes
who
down
lives
to-
in Baltimore, couldn't even get it.
I know.
Come on.
Yeah, it's egregious. It's bad. So for sports that are still growing and trying to increase their audience and get, into more households, get more diverse, get more fans that are just aware of them and understand, who they are, who their players are, connecting with the athletes on a personal level. They've missed the mark in a lot of ways, unfortunately, because they're so focused on the right now bottom dollar.
Everything is about the bottom dollar.
Yeah. If we can't monetize it right now in this instant, we don't see the value of it, which is why, we've complained about this in the MLS because with the Apple TV deal, they've taken away local broadcasts. They've taken away the ability to watch preseason games. Major League Baseball is the same thing. The only way you can watch is either through the radio, listening, or MLB Network. You can't easily just turn on your TV and watch a spring training game because they don't make money off of that. But as you're mentioning, you're losing money in the long run because this would be an investment that now, if you have spring training should be something that's free and accessible, especially in the local markets.
Yes.
I understand maybe not broadcasting it nationally, but for someone like Chris that lives in Baltimore, it should be on your local TV where you can get a basic stream. Doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to have a ton of broadcasters or all these, replays and angles and things. We would take a fixed camera, just giving us a nice wide shot of the field. That'd be fine. Just something to be able to watch what's going on. And if you can at least tap into those local markets. So now Baltimore fans get to watch. Now, as you mentioned, for Padres fans, they get to watch. Now you're going to, in the long run, connect fans with the athletes, with the players, which will then in turn get you more revenue through merch, ticket sales. I'll be more excited to go watch Paul or Jackson in the future after knowing, hey, I remember seeing them back in 2024. So it's a shame because they're so focused on money, 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 money. You're missing out on what would help the league, these guys, these teams the best. And I don't understand why in 2024 there still isn't an easier way to have every single spring training game. Like, unless coaches say this is going to be a closed game, because you see that in the NBA and the NFL. You have closed scrimmages where you don't get to see it at all, but you have the majority of them are wide open. You can watch everything. I mean, football, you can watch everything from, the combine to where these guys go to eat to watching them tie their shoes to get, to go out for a jog. Like, you get every little detail. I
literally just saw kickball on ESPN2
you
recently.
Get every single detail. And then on top of that, exactly as you're mentioning, and I know somebody I believe said it yesterday, you'll turn on a sports network and you'll get cornhole games, kickball games. Like, there's a need for something to stream. Clearly, why not get preseason games on your TV? So it's very frustrating that in 2024 they still haven't found a way they could have a whole preseason stream on your phone. I've got the MLB app, and of course I have to pay to be able to watch some of the games.
Yeah, and that's what
some
Jim's
of them are
saying
free.
in the chat. He said if I lived in PA, I wouldn't even be able to see it because it would be locally blacked out. I live in West Virginia, so it allows me. And that's what we used yesterday, watch the Blue Jays feed. And that's fine. I mean, that's kind of the direction everything's going, where you're charging people for access to have MLB TV.
That's what it comes down to.
But at the same time, when you have the number one pitching prospect versus the number one exciting positional player in baseball, give baseball fans a chance to watch that, because chances are they're only going to see each other once. Even just do a live check-in on MLB Network, the way what they used to do that with the live look-ins. What was that all the time? It wasn't Red Zone.
There's the Red Zone for the NFL where they do that. They'll give you the updates.
I love.
I would even enjoy a Red Zone style for spring training games where we just get. Because the other part is we can't even get highlights. Fortunately, John is down there, so he's tweeting out videos. And if you're not following, go do so. He's tweeting out videos from the games, but you can't even get, Cristian Pache hits a home run. You got to hope the Phillies tweet it out, because otherwise you might not see it. I'd even love a live look-in from some sort of MLB dugout vibe. I don't know what the name would be. And you're just going in and you're showing clips from spring training games and giving updates and giving scores. There's just nothing. And it's a shame to do to fans, because as we've been doing on the show, you wait for so long. You finally get, spring training underway. Games are started. They're playing every day. And you can't even watch top prospects, your team, anything. I'd love to watch a game. It's frustrating, guys. I know.
So before we talk to John Foley momentarily here, this was in Rich's newsletter yesterday. This was the ESPN piece about the baseball realignment of divisions, and I just wanted to throw this out there because it's so kind of wild to me. So this was behind a paywall. So Rich basically just took the part that was significant here with the baseball realignment. This is with the expansion of baseball. You'd have to balance things out. And the idea from ESPN was to make it a little more centric to the area. Having the Braves in the NL East. Yeah, sure, they're an East Coast team, but they're not that close. So this is what the proposed new division for the Phillies would look like by ESPN. The Phillies division would then be the Phillies, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles, Nationals, and the Montreal Expos, which was the expansion hypothetical in the argument. Mm-hmm. I kind of love it. It's like the Northeast division. No more American and National League. Having the Yankees and Red Sox as kind of division rivals, I think would be pretty cool. Question mark. I have no problem leaving the Braves rivalry in the dust, and the Nationals even do very little for me. That was fun for 2 years, but I think that would be a fun realignment if they actually went through with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to, if you could regionalize these divisions in a way that makes more sense. It does for travel purposes, for whatever that means, because there's so many games, so much traveling anyways. But that would make it even easier.
Yuck, Chris says.
And then I know it'd be something exactly as Chris is saying, yuck. A lot of people at first would have a hard time wrapping their heads around it because change is tough. I know, guys. But overall, with expansion, I'd love to shake things up a bit. Also, just from the sake that you get a chance to, you're hitting on, start a new rivalry with a new team.
You can take a train ride up to a lot of those games.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Let's bring John Foley in from Clearwater here, and I'll ask him, not only do we have to get to Cristian Pache with John.
Yes.
But John, we were just talking about the ESPN proposal for the expansion story they were doing for Major League Baseball and the division realignment. I don't know if you heard any of that, but the proposed division realignment by ESPN would have the Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Orioles, Nationals, and Mets in the division with the Phillies. Are you thumbs up or thumbs down on that new realignment?
I think I could go thumbs down on that. I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe I'm a boomer too. I caught that conversation earlier. But I was anti-pitch clock, and that's worked out great. Huge success. So maybe it would be fine. And like Renee said, you would create new rivalries. I don't want those old rivalries to go away. I understand that it would make a lot of sense logistically, and for all sorts of reasons, but that's a pretty radical realignment. I would at least like to maintain National League and American League where they've been. If we can do that, maybe there's a compromise area.
Yeah. Well, also, John, we were just venting and ranting about the fact that we are unable to watch games easily on TV because they're not accessible. You have been able to watch all of the games for the Phillies, and fortunately, you've been doing a great job tweeting out, updates, scores, showing videos every time, a major highlight happens. So we appreciate you for that. But one of the biggest names that have been emerging as we've kicked off spring training games, Cristian Pache. He had hit his second home run of spring training to start. He's been a bright spot and one that's been consistently giving good at-bats. What have you seen from Cristian Pache and the Phillies down in their start for spring training games?
Yeah, you hit on two topics very close to my heart right there. First of all, I'm with you guys. What is baseball doing? You put out this product, people want to see the product. Why don't you let the people see the product? So, I'm doing what I can from the press box, trying to catch some highlights here and there. Whatever doesn't get me kicked out, whatever's legal. But it's crazy because I'm sitting there thinking, I have my phone right here. I can FaceTime, and the city of Philadelphia could watch the game. So
I almost got revoked from the NBA Summer League for doing that. It was Ben Simmons' debut in the Summer League, and I was streaming it from the media, and I had NBA security come down and shut my ass down.
Yeah, they will lock it down. So I can't really take matters into my own hands and stream it, but I'll bring you what I can within the rules. But it's just a shame, and it makes no sense for anybody involved. But we will jump to Cristian Pache because the idea that the Phillies might keep Jay Cave on the roster instead of Pache, 31-year-old Jay Cave, and look, no disrespect to Jay Cave, he's great. He's a fellow member of the Premature Gray Beard Club. He seems fantastic. I don't want to disrespect Jay Cave. But you can't just have a job because you're left-handed. He didn't even hit righties particularly well. Pache, and yeah, sometimes you get enamored with a guy who's labeled as a top talent early, and I have been. I mean, this is a guy who's been highly touted for years. He's only 25. Before Johan Rojas showed up, there was a brief period there where we were talking about Cristian Pache the same way everyone talks about Johan Rojas now. He showed up. He was hitting 300-ish for a while before things, bottomed out. But, elite defender, and maybe not Johan Rojas. If it weren't for Johan Rojas, we'd be talking about him that way. And it just seems to me, I understand you need left-handed bats, and you don't want your only left-handed bat on the bench to be Garrett Stubbs, your backup catcher. That puts you in a situation. At the same time, can you take that? Can you take that hit to keep a guy on your roster? He's out of minor league options for anyone who's not aware. So you can't stash him in the minors. You're going to lose him.
You want to hear my theory? I think I can solve this really easy. Start talking and kicking tires in Clearwater. I think they trade Sosa. Stott can offset Turner. Merrifield can offset Bohm and Stott. And also do a little outfield. I think you trade Sosa, keep Cave and Pache. Boom, problem solved.
Yeah, I can see that. But Sosa has value too.
That's why you trade him. You might get like a veteran bullpen type arm or something.
I mean, trades change the calculus on any of this, right? Like if you can get a position of need for Pache for somebody for a team that similarly recognizes his value, then go ahead and do that. You know, if you can get value for Sosa, okay, do that. But you know, it's just in terms of, you know, if you talk about, I don't want to get into the Sixers world, but if you talk about assets and just having, you know, Pache feels like an asset. Sosa feels like an asset. Jay Cave, again,
handed.
Yeah.
He's left-handed.
Like that's what it is.
His value, his value
He's versatile.
not. Yeah, but now as you're seeing guys like Pache playing better, even Sosa having, you know, value as a trade asset, you know, Jake Cave is just there, and there's no need for him. Whit Merrifield has already and should solve a lot of problems, especially on the, you know, fielding side. But Jake Cave, it'll be a never-ending, I feel like, conversation about. You don't need him just because he's left-handed. So listen, though, John, as you're down watching the games, you know, what are kind of your key takeaways that you've had? Because you've been able to see, you know, we get clips, we get the occasional stream here and there. You've been able to see day in and day out from batting practice and bullpen sessions to now spring training games to start off the spring training period. You know, what have you noticed about this team that's, you know, are some key takeaways you can share for those of us that are limited?
I think the biggest takeaway is the professionalism. This is a team on a mission. You know, 2022, when it sort of came out of the blue, it was like a magical ride. 2023, and they came in, I'm sure, professional. But this year, you could just tell it you know, it sort of harkens back to the last golden era of, you know, 2007 through 11, where there's only one goal. Whit Merrifield was talking about it on a broadcast. I think we had a clip. You know, they're focused. There's what Whit said was, you know, there's a lot of guys here. They've done the other things they need to do in baseball. They've made it. They've proven themselves individually. They've landed their contracts, and there's only one thing left for them to do. A lot of these guys, and that's bring that trophy back.
So, John, last one for you before we dissect the top 5 managers in baseball, and does Rob Thomson fall in that list? You had a tweet that went a little viral yesterday. It's a leap year, so I guess the Phillies are winning the World Series, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's the only logical conclusion to draw. You know, there are people out there who are trying to say that there have been other leap years where the Phillies didn't win a championship. Now, I don't know if they're right or wrong. I'm doing my own research on that. It may be the case, but I like our odds. There. I think there's only been 3.
Yeah. Well, John, you're doing a great job writing recaps of the game. I love the good, the bad, and the uglies for those of us that don't get to watch these games. It's a great little synopsis. So keep up the great work. Keep pushing out great content on Twitter, and have a great weekend watching the Phils. And we are how many days away? 12 days away from cracking a beer in the sunshine down in Clearwater Beach.
Yes, awesome job, John.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Renee. Thanks, Tyler. It's can't wait till you guys get down here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is.
12 days away. And yes, Dave P., we also cannot wait for the season to start, because that season opener in 27 days will be here before we know it. And as we get closer to the start of the season, make sure that you're taking advantage of the Game Time app, because over at the Game Time app, when you download it, it makes it a lot easier to be able to browse through any sort of tickets, games, concerts, comedy shows, any events, sports and entertainment-wise. The Game Time app has a lot there for you. They also do a great job of giving you notifications when there are, you know, great prices or new tickets that are available on the Game Time app. So when you download it today and use the code PHLY, you'll be able to get $20 off of your purchase at the Game Time app. They simplify the process for you in buying tickets. They allow you to see where you're going to be seated and giving you a nice picture view of your shot from your seat. And then once you show up, it's a lot easier to now have your tickets right on your phone so you can scan, get inside, and start having some fun. So again, with the Game Time app today, download it, use code PHLY, get $20 off. They already have great low prices, tickets for a lot of different events in your area, and they now will make it that much easier for you to enjoy the ticket buying process, making that quick so you can get to the fun part, the game, the concert, the comedy show, having fun and enjoying yourself over at the Game Time app.
Yeah, and everybody in the chat talking about Cristian Pache. Look, he's 25 years old, and he's showing you a lot of promise. If you, let's say Johan Rojas struggles and goes down, who would you rather have filling in on a daily basis, Cristian Pache or Nick/Jay Cave? Come on. I mean, I think we all want Cristian Pache out there. So that's what it boils down to. It's about promise and hope. And you know what else is about promise and hope? I could already taste it on a nice Saturday morning, going to Bagels and Company and getting one of my favorite bagels, because what they do is it's really quite a service. They take the best of Rat City, New York, the best they have to offer, and they bring it right here to us in our utopian society of the Delaware County. And they provide the Rat City bagels, which they're known for. I'll give them credit. Brooklyn-style bagels. Everybody kind of knows it. And they bring them right here in your backyard. They have a large variety of bagels daily, usually 15 to 20 different types. And these are the huge boys. In this economy, you want that huge bagel. You want that bang for your buck in the bagel. And they usually do a ton of themed schmears and cream cheeses. I'm sure there will be a Phillies opening day cream cheese. They usually have 30 different flavors of cream cheeses and schmears. Seasonal stuff, staples, Sixers playoff stuff. They'll be getting into all of it. And affordable prices. Literally, I went to not a Bagels & Co. Shop recently, and I was my jaw hit the counter when they rang me up for my prices. And Bagels & Company said, in this economy, we got to keep things real for people. So they give you affordable prices, which is key, because a lot of companies, jack up prices all the time. And you go, wait, this was a different price like 3 weeks ago. Bagels & Company said, we're not going to do that. They don't want to be that bougie place where you just go splurge on the weekend. They want to be that everyday mom and pop bagel shop for you, because they cater to the everyday individuals. A lot of their customers are repeat, and they have really good coffee too, and you're not going to pay like $8 a cup for it like some other places. So for the best Brooklyn-style bagels made right here in Philly, head to thebagelsandco.com/store-locator to find the closest one to you. All right, let's get right into it. The top 5 managers in baseball. This is more or less rounding out our top 5 list. The manager one is an interesting one, because it's hard to exactly dissect what a manager does. The famous Earl Weaver saying in baseball is that a good manager can win you 7 to 8 games a year. A bad manager can probably lose you, 7 to 8 games a year. A lot of what a manager does is, I think most important is managing the locker room, and second most important is managing the bullpen. Outside of that, I mean, it's kind of minimal game situation type stuff. Some guys get credit for player development. Some guys get overcredited for having a really expensive high roster or highly paid roster. Some guys get a lot out of a little. So it's kind of, I'm interested to see where everybody is, because there's so many different ways at looking at a manager and whether they're good or not. So let's just get it started. I will go with my number 5 manager on my list. We lost to him last year in the NLCS. I thought he outmanaged Rob Thomson. I think he's established himself as one of the better managers in baseball. And I'm going to go with Lovullo from out in the Arizona Diamondbacks. Torey Lovullo outmanaged Rob Thomson to me. I thought he had a really, really nice year. The Arizona Diamondbacks are good. They have a lot of expectations, and it seemed like they got the most out of a little bit last year. They got some young players emerging. I think a manager helps get credit for fostering young players like Moreno and Corbin Carroll. So I think Lovullo did a really nice job and is going to stay as one of the top managers in baseball.
And by the way, real quick, I'm an idiot. I can't spell. I spelled that man's name wrong on every single one of your graphics.
Who cares?
I feel terrible.
We're not serious people.
No, but it looks bad on me.
It's fine.
It's
so I'm gonna go with Lovullo as number 5. Renee, who you got?
So I'm glad you put out a disclaimer there, because ranking managers going into 2024 is extremely difficult, because as you mentioned, there's hitting coaches, there's pitching coaches, there's so many other pieces involved. What is the manager's role? So I went based off of guys that have steadily been improving, that I feel like going into 2024 are going to need to have a big role in organizing the troops and keeping everybody locked in. So I'm starting things off off with Mr. Brian Snitker down in Atlanta. Now, when you look at where the Braves were when he came in and when he took over back in 2016 after Freddie Gonzalez, and as someone that worked his way through the franchise in many different roles. He was, of course, he's played with the Braves, and he worked in his, through the coaching staff, was an interim manager. And since taking over in 2016, when the team was having, losing records, his first couple seasons were not great, but Brian Snitker did help the Braves be able to win a World Series back in 2021, also be a team that's top of the league in various categories, winning the NL East, 6 playoff berths. He's been manager of the year once. And also, they've been the top dog across Major League Baseball. Now, I think it's important because the Braves have not been able to get past the hurdle that is the Philadelphia Phillies, that if Brian Snitker is going to be the top manager, he's got to find a way to make this group get further into the playoffs. And I think it's a big year for him. It's a test year for them because they have on paper one of the best squads. And when you look at what they've done in the last 5 seasons and his overall record through that, this team has something very special. So for Brian Snitker, starting things off at my number 5.
Yeah, so I grade managers on a bell curve. So eventually you get to a point where your team is so good that you're just expected to win. And if you're not winning at a high enough level, you're going to almost get a knock, despite the fact that maybe you do win 95 or 97 regular season games, and maybe you do get to the CS. But at some point, that bell curve comes back to form. And so for me, picking managers that are top 5 worthy are about expediting your talent for what you have around you, whether it be via payroll or roster construction, whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go with a newcomer to this list, and the newcomer to the MLB last year, his first-time manager, Skip Schumacher.
He was heavily considered replacing Dave Roberts,
who I thought did a tremendous job in getting a Marlins team that has a ton of really great pitching, but the roster construction itself was not fantastic. The Marlins were 33-14 in one-run games last season. Led Major League Baseball, was the 4th best one-run record in terms of percentages of all time, despite the fact that they had a minus 57 run differential. The guy did a tremendous job of managing his rotation, did a tremendous job of managing his bullpen. I don't know if the Marlins are going to repeat as a playoff team in 2024, but I think Schumacher did a really nice job
he's
in
a top
2023.
3 manager in baseball.
Yeah, for sure.
Skip Schumacher was under heavy consideration for me.
Agreed.
Number 4, I'm going to go with one that was the one not that I lost sleep over it, but you know the saying, I lost sleep over it. Dave Roberts. I have him number 4. Now, the knock against him is me, you, and Tyler could go out there and manage the Los Angeles Dodgers. Their payroll is $1 billion. You should be good. I think they've been decimated by injuries a little bit lately. I think Dave Roberts is a fine manager. I think his biggest challenge out there is, especially now with Yamamoto and Ohtani and the international contingency that's going to be thrust upon them, is just, managing that clubhouse. You have the best player in baseball in Mookie Betts or Ohtani. You have Freddie Freeman, who's like a top 10 guy. There's a lot of ego and personality. And I think, it hasn't translated yet to the World Series success that maybe the payroll says it should. I still think Dave Roberts is a pretty solid manager, so I'm not going to hold his roster against him. And I'll look more to like the father figure, keep everybody at peace and at bay type of manager role for him. So I got him number 4. But I did consider putting Skip Schumacher over him. Yeah,
no, I agree. Definitely keeping in perspective the roster, the talent, what they're working with. You've got to be able to, as a manager, get the best out of your guys. And so I'm going to go with a guy that did just that, to be able to lift the Philadelphia Phillies past Brian Snitker and the Braves, and going with Rob Thomson. Rob, number 4 for me. Listen, coming into his first year to be able to lead the Phillies to the World Series, a team that prior had been under 500, obviously ended the playoff drought. We know exactly, after following this team so closely, all that Rob had his hands in. And there have been so many opportunities that Rob was managing the team so well. And whether it was, starting pitching rotation or, making decisions out of the bullpen, that this team has a lot of belief and composure. And I know John talked about the professionalism that you're seeing down in Clearwater around the Phillies. A lot of that starts with Rob. He's very mild-mannered, never too high, never too low, and the guys embody that as well. And to have 2 playoff berths, of course, that World Series run where you are under 500, clinching a last minute grabbing a wild card spot, surprising a lot of teams to go to the World Series. That belief starts at the top with Rob, and I'm hoping that this year, and it should be this year, that Rob takes a major stride in how he's organizing and leading this team as a manager, because Rob Thomson definitely has helped in his first 2 seasons, one where he wasn't even fully the manager the entire year, to be able to allow the Phillies to have that belief, that composure, that underdog mentality still, but also going out and grinding and earning, the ability to be a top team in the league. So Rob Thomson, going with topper number 4.
All I see is chicken cutlets now mentioned by Mickey in the chat. Tyler, who you got number 4?
Yeah, so this spot, by the way, the guy that I was really deliberating between 2 guys. I ended up going with the guy that made the World Series this year, Torey Lovullo, at number 4, spelled correctly on this one. So
spelled it correctly on yours.
Did it on mine.
You just sandbagged me. I get it. Okay.
The guy that I struggled to keep off this list was Rocco Baldelli from the Minnesota Twins.
Yeah.
Even though you know how high of I think of the Detroit Tigers this year, I still think the Twins win that division in the Central. Lovullo did a really nice job of managing the 21st highest payroll to a World Series berth. They only won 84 regular season games, but sometimes you make your mark when it matters most. And like you said, Jamie, I think you're right. He outmanaged Rob Thomson. He outmanaged Dave Roberts, and obviously they wiped the Dodgers pretty convincingly in the DS. But he outmanaged Rob Thomson, and then he ran into a buzzsaw that was the Texas Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm not sure anybody in baseball was beating the Rangers in the World Series this past year. Lovullo did a really, really nice job with this team, and I think that they got better this offseason by adding Eduardo Rodriguez, adding Jock Peterson. This team is
brought Gurriel back.
I think this team is still going to be good. I'm going to go Lovullo at 4.
Yeah, he's one of those things. It's how you view these. He probably got more out of what he should. And I think this next guy, for me, number 3, Kevin Cash, when your highest paid player is Zach Eflin, the highest free agent signing in franchise history, and year in and year out with their player development and scouting, to be as competitive a franchise as the Tampa Rays are is amazing. And, you see these guys all over the Rays roster. They lose a Wander Franco, who's one of the top prospects in baseball, and the team barely skips a beat. They develop guys all over the field. Kevin Cash is a great manager, plain and simple. I think he's a top 3 guy in baseball. I even considered putting him number 1. That's how highly I think of Kevin Cash. So number 3 is certainly no slight to him. I think he's done a tremendous job with the Rays. He's my number 3.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like for my list, I was going with a lot of, for 4 and 5 for Rob, especially, falling short, looking at Rob and Brian's ability to have top teams that fell short. And this team definitely did that, but I feel like he's going to this has to be a top 5 year for him. Otherwise, he's not going to keep his job. And so that's why number 3 for me, with one of the biggest off seasons after having a very disappointing year last year, Aaron Boone. Listen, the Yankees didn't even make the playoffs last year, a team that was one of the most disappointing Yankees teams that you can think of in recent years. And Boone's job was honestly very much up in the air. And I completely agreed with it. I understood why many people called for him to be let go. But to see the moves they made this offseason, Juan Soto alone, having a healthy Aaron Judge, the New York Yankees have to be a top team. So I put Aaron Boone number 3 because this is, in my opinion, a year where we need to see Boone coach at a higher level. In his time there, the 5 playoff berths, they haven't won, a pennant. He hasn't won Manager of the Year. They haven't done honestly well. And it's disappointing for the Yankees franchise. But Aaron Boone has to be that guy this year. It's his time to manage. You've got the talent now. You've got the team is all set up there. You obviously have Garrett Cole already back. You have all the pieces. It's time to go out and see what you can do with it. And in 2024, you should see a top manager in Aaron Boone. If not, he's out of there. So he's my number 3 for a different reason.
Hot seat.
He needs to be, he's absolutely in the hot seat. He needs to be a top 5 manager this season. If this team does not reach expectations of at least, a playoff, getting to the playoffs, being in division title contentions, he's not going to have his job. So, yeah, it's Aaron Boone for me because the pressure is on for you, Aaron Boone, at number 3.
Who you got, Tyler?
Imagine adding $30 million in salary and you going up to the 23rd ranked team in baseball in terms of pay. That's what the Baltimore Orioles are looking at. They're up to $83 whole million. I'm going Brandon Hyde. This guy in the course of the last 2 seasons. Now, granted, the talent has been significant.
He won Manager of the Year last year, right?
Yeah.
Did he?
He did
Yeah,
win
he
Manager
should
of the
have.
Year.
Yes, he did. But obviously the talent has gotten significant over the last couple of seasons. But from 2021, they won 52 games last year. I thought 2022 might have been one of his better managing times as well because they weren't quite good just yet. And he got that team to 83 and 79 despite the fact that there was very little talent still on that roster, even with Rutschman coming up. That last year they won 101 games without the fact, despite the fact that they didn't have a really good starting pitching staff. They add Corbin Burns, Kyle Bradish when he gets back to fully being healthy, which I'm hoping is by like April-ish, maybe, late April. You're going to have those 2 guys. John Means gets healthy again. It's a much better pitching staff. I think Brandon Hyde has done a really nice job with this Orioles team. I expect him to be in contention again. I'm going to go Brandon Hyde, number 3.
Yeah, they got a lot better getting Corbin Burns and adding Jackson Holiday and some of these other kids. My number 2, I'm going to go with a guy, an organization I hate, unfortunately. But Brian Snitker has won the NL East every year he's been the manager. And again, this is another manager that you look at and you go, well, yeah, we could all manage that team.
Yeah.
I know, but it's easier said than done. And to have a historic, greatest offense perhaps ever, yeah, sure, the players get a ton of credit for that. But again, you have to manage that. You have to manage the egos. There's a lot of Latin-speaking players there, so there's a big melding pot. And Brian Snitker has been awesome with the Braves. Player development, he gets a hand in the credit there in establishing the culture and the development. And the Braves are just a freaking awesomely run team. It's really annoying, and I'm not going to hold it against Snitker. I think he's one of the best managers in baseball.
Yeah. For me next, and actually Tyler, you were just hitting on how much he helped turn the Baltimore Orioles around. It's Brandon Hyde, who's at my number 2 spot and honestly could be number 1 with just how much he's helped take this group to the next level. Look, when he took over in 2019, the Orioles at that time were in the midst of a rebuild. It was messy. It was chaotic. His first 2 seasons there, full 2 seasons there, were also worst. Bottom team across the league, losing 108 games in 2019, 110 in 2021. And for the Orioles to have quickly turned things around, Adley Rutschman was a big part of that. They obviously have brought in Corbin Burns this past offseason. They've been adding pieces. They've been rebuilding and are a top team across Major League Baseball. Brandon Hyde has been able to manage his group so well to have that quick turnaround. Sometimes it takes teams years to be able to do that. And they were able to go from 2021, as I mentioned, with 110 losses to then 2022, where they're a team that you have to keep an eye on. So, to be around 500 in 2022, or over 500 in 2022, I should say, he has continued to take strides with this organization. And I think as a club, the Orioles' strides are because of Brandon Hyde and his ability to develop the young talent, as we were talking about, and have this team believing and being able to play at a high level.
Who you got, Tyler?
Not a huge fan of retreads or baseball lifers, adding them to become a manager for a team that is looking to potentially, compete. But just in general, not a fan of the baseball lifer per se. I think that sometimes there's merit in bringing in a fresh face and a fresh voice. But hard to argue with 5 World Series appearances and 4 World Series victories, including his first year with the Texas Rangers. I'm going Bruce Bochy at number 2. When you talk about guys that are surefire locks to be managers that get into the Hall of Fame when it's all said and done, Bochy's name is at the top of the list. I think it was before he won the World Series last year. The 3 World Series in 5 seasons with the San Francisco Giants. Did a really nice job of managing this Texas team. Has a little bit of that old school feels to him still. I think he's more analytic than people want to admit, just because he is a baseball lifer and a little bit of an old school manager, but still has enough of that good mix of analytics and old school feel. He did a tremendous job with this Texas team, whose bullpen was a disaster for the first 6 months of the year. Blew more saves than anybody in baseball through August, and they found a way to come together and win the World Series. Bochy did a tremendous job this year.
Yeah, he's my number 1. I'm just going to take it right from there and continue on. I think Bruce Bochy is just awesome. He's that baseball lifer. Basically was a part of a dynasty out in San Fran. They bring him into Texas with their new high payroll. They call him off of retirement. He wasn't even expecting a call. They talk him into the job. And, he is that old school guy, Tyler. And then they have Chris Young, the former Princeton pitcher / president who probably balances him out with a nice analytical aspect of that. So Bruce Bochy to me is awesome. He's number one. And not just because he won the World Series title again. I think that just kind of cemented it. He was always consistently one of the top managers in the game.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was considering putting Bruce in my top 5. This is really difficult. My number 1, though, I'm going out to LA. It's Dave Roberts. I know you had him at number 5 on your list, Jamie. He's number 1 for me because when you look at what he's done in his time with the Dodgers, Roberts has had one of the highest winning percentages across all managers in the league. You look 8 playoff berths, 3 pennants won, obviously a World Series. Call it an asterisk or not, they still won a World Series title. His winning percentage at a .630. He knows how to win games. And what makes him number 1 for me going into 2024 is Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, Teoscar Hernandez. This is a manager that already knows how to get the best from his team. And you look at the fact that, the Dodgers have had multiple 100-win seasons 5 times. They've never missed the playoffs. He has been a big part of that. They've been at the top of the league already, and adding in and having the biggest offseason that they did, you should get a top manager performance all year from Dave Roberts in order for them to be the team that they are expected to on paper. And it's going to have to be a big year for him to at least, get this team coming together. We've already seen their start to spring training, and I think Dave Roberts is going to be someone that at the end of 2024 is in the conversation for manager of the year.
And who you got, Tyler?
Yeah, at no point over the last 5 years, including this year, have the Tampa Bay Rays been in the anything higher than 23rd on awesome. Payroll. Kevin Cash, to me, is the best manager in baseball. 99 wins last season. They've made the playoffs each of the last 5 years. 96 wins in 19, 121. They go to the World Series in 2020, the COVID-shortened year. Yes, they've lost in the ALCS, the AL wildcard round each of the last 2 years, and it's been underperformance. And I think that at this point, you are going to start to look at Kevin Cash inward a little bit. He's kind of lost a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. But to me, he's done more with less in terms of payroll-wise. They've done a really nice job of cultivating talent. I know, Jamie, you're huge on their player development, scouting, all of that kind of getting the best out of their young players. To me, Kevin Cash is still the best manager in baseball.
Yeah, he's pretty freaking awesome.
And by the way, I've seen it multiple times in the chat. Ron Washington is one of the best baseball coaches to ever walk the planet. It's so hard to decide that that Angels team stinks.
I was going to say,
but Ron Washington himself is an elite baseball coach.
Yeah.
That is what makes this ranking so difficult. And I know you guys, this might be one of the days you disagree with us the most because it's really hard. I mean, when you're talking about individual players, you can look at stats and things. Managers, how much are you weighing on them versus the team? It's tough. Plus, we're looking ahead into 2024. So, hey, listen.
Yeah, you look at
don't like my list. It's fine.
Like the 4 guys I left off were probably Rob Thomson, Brandon Hyde, Ron Washington, and I didn't really have Aaron Boone that high, but there was one other.
See, I looked at it as 2024.
Rocco Baldelli,
Baldelli was big.
So, like, the top 10 is
Scott Service deserves some consideration.
And Craig Counsell, most people consider one of the top managers in baseball. None of us had him.
I know, Tyler, you're anti-Craig, but honestly, he was in the consideration for me too.
But the top 10 is pretty impressive. There's some good managers.
To me, it just comes down to in 2024 who needs to be at the top because their team is heavily leaning on them. So I don't know. Let's wrap this thing up.
This is the last Guess That Swing. We are probably scraping the bottom of the barrel. When Johan Camargo makes your list, you're near the bottom.
You guys have 3 minutes to do this.
Okay, we're doing it.
And get out of the show.
Yes. Let's do it. I'm going to fire right from the hit. A 5 on the difficulty scale. I see a left-hander. No,
you're
a
firing
right-hander.
I think I see.
The top hand is the left hand.
Handed batter.
And that's a righty. That's a righty. Because the left hand is top. Wait, no. Sorry.
But I don't like that he's. I don't.
It's a switch hitter, by the way.
Switch hitter, of
boy.
course.
Here we go. I think I have somebody. I'm just going to shoot.
Ew.
Shoot.
Switch hitter. Which one is this?
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Lovely. Just lovely. All right, I'm gonna send you a name.
Giving you that it's a switch hitter, it narrows the list down.
Oh, it does. But I was stuck on switch hitters the other day.
Why are you not popping up? There you are, Tyler. I'm just gonna, it's the last one.
Yeah, let's do it. Just fire from the hip and we can get out of here.
I'm not sure if we did him already.
Jamie, you can enjoy your weekend.
But let's see.
Renee, I want you to enjoy your weekend too.
Thank you.
But Jamie's got immediate plans, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Did we do him yet, Tyler?
We have not done him yet. No. Okay, Renee's answer is locked in.
Sure, let's just go
Dave,
with it.
I would say difficulty rating 5 because this guy was prominent for the Phillies, not during good years, but he was prominent.
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna send you mine.
Okay,
All right, here we go.
Renee's answer is locked in.
Oh,
I don't feel good about it because I think my guy's a little heftier.
I don't know.
But
I don't know.
I got to get balls in the air.
All right, Jamie's going Carlos Santana. He is locked in. Renee
not-
went Freddie
That was
Galvis.
decent.
Oh, Galvis
And
is
the
a good
final guess that
somebody
swing
right?
of the year
Freddie Galvis
goes to Renee.
You proud of yourself?
All right.
Yeah, I ended on a high note. Let's go. Spiral out. I know you had it, Steven. We were locked in with Freddie Galvis. As soon as you said he was prominent in those bad years, I was like, okay, I've got potential here.
See, Tyler, you gave it away. Now she's war
No, I
whooping
already
and
had my answer
celebrating.
in. I already had my answer in before you said that. Okay, for the record.
Yep.
But that was fun, guys. Maybe we should keep this going.
Yeah, there we go. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us this week. We'll be back next week, 11 a.m. Per usual. We appreciate all of you. If you can hit that thumbs up button before you get out of here. Make sure you're following along with John Foley, as he'll be bringing you the day-to-day from down in Florida. In spring training, the Phillies play meaningful baseball in 27 days. Welcome to March, everyone. Have a great weekend. We love you. We appreciate you. For Tyler, for Renee, for myself, thank you for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next week.
We all silly like the man.